over and you've got Clock Factory, which takes up all of side 2, so it's a quarter of an hour. Quarter of an hour long here. And at the time, I mean, much of Sabresonic feels like it was recorded by the same people, but Clock Factory really stands out. It's got a different feel. And there seems to be some it's this sort of dark industrial ambience. It's quite spooky, and yet it's totally absorbing. And listening to it at the time, I always felt it stood out from the rest of the album. And listening to it this week, it's very much sort of stood out. How did it come about? Did that just start as a?
Well, the studio was on a really dodgy estate in West London.
Okay. Yeah.
Like really dodgy. And it was in a council flat above what used to be the music shop, but the estate was like proper naughty. And we'd look out onto the car park, and it was, I don't know, it was like a kind of quite a dark place, and there was a lot of like heroin kind of stuff, and it was the 90s in West London on a really bad council estate in Hounslow. And it kind of, it's hard not to make that kind of music when you're living amongst that sort of, and we're taking loads of gear, and you're having like,
I mean, it's also, the thing is as well, it's like, if you've had a really heavy weekend and you're on that come down phase on a Monday and a Tuesday,
it's all that built into.
You don't want to make a really happy tune. You're like, let's listen to some dark and moody.
And was sort of stretching it out for quarter of an hour sort of a deliberate let's make a quarter of an hour track, or did it just happen?
I'm not sure. I think it just happened.
No, that just goes back to what I was saying about the arrangements, where it's like you're just on a desk and
it would just keep going until Andrew went. Turned the last instrument off on the desk and went, stop the dat.
And stop the dat. I mean, that's it. So the thing is, all that music that we were making then was made solely by using our ears, whereas nowadays you make music using your eyes because you're just staring at a computer screen pretty much now, right? So in them days, it's like you were at the desk and pressing buttons to bring bits of audio in and out, mute and bring them back in. And so therefore, when you're doing that, and it's just the backing track's just looping around, you don't really have any concept of time. You're just like doing it because it feels good, or you're enjoying the moment, and it's all working, and everybody's making an input to what you're doing that means that it sustains the interest, and you're not getting bored by hearing what you're hearing until a point where it's getting a bit repetitive, so let's start muting channels down and bringing it back down, and then we'll get ourselves out of this song.
And then stop the dat and let's go and get fish and chips.
Yeah.
Really, that's kind of,
And that could be 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 15 minutes.
And quite often Andrew was smoking, like me and Jagz were just, like, what day is it? Secondary smoking, was that 3 minutes? No, it was 17 and a half. I might have to edit that. No, it's fine.
So, in the second half of Sabresonic, you get two sort of the dub techno tracks, which become very much sort of a Sabres sound. There's RSD, Red Stripe dub, and Anno Electro. But there are two versions of Anno Electro, and certainly one of them is in the Allegro. The Allegro mix is certainly very dubby. So RSD was originally a track, Red Stripe dub. So Mark Ratcliffe, who is a member of the Flightpath Estate, was part of the whatever machinations took place that introduced Andrew to Red Stripe. I mean the company, not the beer. He was involved in that in setting up that deal.
Okay.
Now he claims in his loft he has a cassette with 3 other versions of RSD on. It's a possibility.
Oh, he probably does. Yeah.
Mark, get up in that loft. He's not here tonight.
That makes total sense because. Okay, so the first session the Red Stripe session we did the 3, when I said we did the 3 songs in the one day of RSD, Wilmot theme, we would have done different versions of all of them because it's the way we worked. It wasn't like, here's the arrangement and this is as concise as it's going to be and there you go, thank you very much, goodbye. It was like, okay, let's get on the desk, do this, right. 4 minutes later or 5 minutes later, it's like, that's recorded, like, let's rewind, let's go again.
Let's do another one, because we were sort of doing it for an advertising agency, and you're doing it because they're like, oh, well, if we get this advert, it's 50 grand. So we'll do like 4 or 5 versions, and they might like one of them, and then we'll do another tune, do 4 or 5 versions of that, they might like that. And you've got to remember, it's just 30 years ago, 50 grand was like, you know, that's paying the rent for a while, and Jagz. So, you know, we were doing like 4 or 5, I'd do 15 mixes of everything, really.
If you've got a studio booked for 24 hours, you use the full 24 hours.
Most of it. We've done sessions for 40 hours. Me and Jagz have worked before for 40 hours straight, without even leaving the studio. That's how much we used to work.
I've got a question here which says, so we've got the track Interlurgen Tenko, which has got those tribal drums and a wired guitar line.
It's Andrew's piss take of it spelling intelligent techno. Intelligent techno.
So I was about to say, there's no point asking you what Interlurgen Techno means, because
it's basically intelligent. It's Andrew taking the piss, saying basically like it's intelligent techno spelt wrong. Just because it was the 2 fingers up to the intelligent techno brigade of like, you know, aren't we really cool?
Because that was a thing at the time. It was like,
I kind of feel like we can't get too niche and too geeky tonight, but some of us have been wondering about why that track is called that for 30 years.
And that's exactly it. Andrew just went,
yeah.
So you were talking before about also, so some of the sounds that are on Sabresonic and on other Sabres records were sounds that you made yourself. So it's not just an instrument; it's a tray filled with matchsticks which are shaking, and it's Gary going and banging a piece of scaffolding with a drumstick. So you're building up a library of sounds which you're then bringing into the track.
Which no one else has got, and that's what you want, don't you? Really, don't you? It's like you want some really killer sounds, because everyone can go out, and if you've got enough money, you can go to any music shop and buy a keyboard, and thousands of other people buy the same thing. You've all got the same sounds. The way to be different is have your own things that everyone goes, how the hell did you make that sound? And it's like, I'm not telling you till you hold it.
And it's just some matches on a tray being shaken.
That mad shaking that we used for years was, I emptied a box of like Cook's matches onto a silver tray and just went over a microphone, and it sounds wicked. And people go, where'd you get that sound? Never you mind. Get your own matches and your own
So at some point, actually, I'm going to come back to that. We'll come back to that one. So we've got Smoke Belch, and the version that's on Sabresonic is the beatless mix. So we've got the Smoke Belch 12-inch, which is 2 10-minute versions of entry and exit. Yeah. And then we've got a week later, we've got the David Holmes remix with all those pianos and the Majorettes marching band at the end and everything. And then presumably the beatless mix comes after those. Is that right?
No.
No.
Okay, so the beatless mix came right. So Smoke Belch, right?
Talk us through Smoke Belch.
Okay, right. So basically, Smoke Belch. Originally, it's a song by Lamont Booker, LB Bad, right? So that was the what's it called? I can't remember what it's called.
New Wave of House?
Yeah, okay, so that was the original piece of music that we took inspiration from. And Andrew gave that song to a band called In the Nursery. In the Nursery scored out these whole strings and created this whole orchestral arrangement, which was the foundation for Smoke Belch 2. We got it back from In the Nursery and it sounded great, and then Andrew's right, let's get to town on this. We then built up the intro and outro, the 2 main bits of Smoke Belch, and then at the end of that it was like, right, let's do a beatless version, and that then
just drop the drums out.
Yeah,
at the end
pretty
of the
much.
session.
At the end of the session, we've done these 2 mixes. Right, let's go back. Let's do one more. Get rid of the drums.
And it's got those twinkling sounds at the
Well,
start. Is that a guitar?
I put that guitar bit. Ding 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 ding. Just put that on, but then Andrew dropped all the drums out, and you know.
As a matter of fact, I remember that guitar part because what you played, we then sampled.
We had to sample it because I couldn't get it bang on.
Yeah,
so I sampled each note.
We put each note and then Gary replayed it on the
It's a tricky little one to
keyboard.
get bang on. So just sample ding 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 ding.
And so that was the 3rd mix.
Right.
Then, after we finished it, David Holmes heard Smoke Belch 2 and was like, oh, this is amazing, I love this, I want to do a remix. And then him and Andrew worked it out that he'd get in the studio with us to do the remix
and
of
me
it.
and Jagz actually did the remix with David.
Yeah.
So we remixed our own tune with another DJ who didn't do anything. Oh, David Holmes' mix is wicked. Yeah, we know, we did it.
The beatless mix has sort of developed, you know, a life of its own. And if there is a popular consciousness for Sabres of Paradise, it's probably the beatless mix. It's on a Vodafone advert. It was on the first Café Del Mar album. It's
on a few of them, yeah.
It's a song which is like woven into the fabric of people's lives. It's, you know, people got married to it. It's been played at funerals.
I know.
How do you feel about that? That you know.
Gutted. We should have said we'd written it. Bloody thoughts on that tune.
No, I mean, I see that. So that is, you know what? You finish a song, you don't know what it's going to do. You don't know if it's going to be massive or not. You don't really.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
just 3 blokes in a little room somewhere in East London.
Yeah, and
it's not even as big as this. We're just going.
I mean, it's probably about as big as this stage, actually.
If that, yeah.
Yeah, it's about as big as this stage. But
you know, you're just having fun.
Yeah,
and,
you don't really.
Make some nice noises.
You don't really kind of go, this is the song that I've just finished that's going to change the world, you know, whatever. But the thing is, it's the thing about that song is, you know, yeah, it affects people in different ways, which I'm, you know, and I love that. I've had people come up to me and go, you know, show me tattoos of Sabres of Paradise, said, oh, that's the song that I got married to, or this is the song they're going to play at my funeral, and that means way more than any critical review that you received in some magazine or whatever. But I mean, you know, but the thing is, one thing that Andrew did was Andrew was always really, really fair to everybody he worked with. You know, we were pretty much equal footings and splits with everything that we did musically with Andrew. And, you know, Andrew would always make sure that he looked after everybody involved in anything. And that was why he actually credited that song to Lamont Booker, you know, and because, you know, he assumed he would have made a lot of money out of it, but I've heard weird stories about his management or publishing company screwed him over or whatever. But he, you know, we wanted to look after everybody, and that's what Andrew did on everything that he did, whether it was in the club, with the record label, with us in the studio. You know, it was always a case of, you know, making sure everyone was looked after.
He was the man. He didn't need to split everything 3 ways with me and Jagz. And we were doing remixes for a lot of money. 30 years ago, 10 grand a remix, and he's like, we split it 3 ways, lads. And it's like, what? We went from, you know, I mean, I went from like earning very little to, what do you mean I'm gonna get 6 grand a week?
And at the same time,
holy shit. Even now that's awesome. Do you know what I mean? And it was like he didn't need to do that. But he was like, no, we're all here, we're doing this.
And at the same time as this is going on, you're also working on the One Dove album.
Me and Jagz didn't stop working.
The One Dove album, which is, you know, has grown in stature over the years, and there's so much love out there for the One Dove album, and, you know, people crying out for a reissue with all the remixes and a box set and all the rest, and that seems to be a bit tied up in record company shenanigans. And of course there was a bit of shenanigans at the time because the album was delayed.
Yeah.
But so how did that work with One Dove? Did the three of you work with One Dove, or was it that you worked with One Dove's tapes?
Okay, so the thing with One Dove is it's really weird. Okay, so one of the things that's quite weird about the music industry is like Stooges, Iggy and the Stooges' Raw Power went gold about 2-3 years ago. So it took like 30-40 years for it to get to the level of getting awarded anything like that, because it was so fucking ahead of its time, and the record company was like, oh, the hell's this? And the problem is, record companies, and I've heard this story so many times. I've heard it with Prince when he finished signing the Times. There was this meeting that happened where all the bigwigs were called in because everybody was shit scared that the album was shit, right? So basically, and I remember one person I knew that went into that meeting was actually like, everybody was so sour-faced about this album that Prince had delivered, which was supposed to be groundbreaking, and everybody's like, oh, this is really shit. And this one person stood up and went, this is amazing, this is, it's one of those albums going to change the world, and Signing the Times fucking did do that. So the problem is with record companies, they don't really know what they've got, even when they have got something amazing, right? So, you sign things on the basis of the hype, right? So One Dove was signed on the basis of the hype, right? And then you're in a record company or whatever, and then the A&Rs get involved, and you start putting songs together with them, and the record companies are they're playing fire with people's careers and lives and everything, and the combination of the brilliance of One Dove with the Andrew attitude, I don't give a fuck what you expect of me, and we're going to do something that we want to do, resulted in what I think was One Dove not achieving the greatness that they should have done, because as a band they were amazing, and we're experiencing it now. It's like 30 years later the One Dove album is viewed as like something really special now, but it's that, are we going to get a gold disc for that in the next 3-4 years or whatever? I don't know. And that's so but the thing is, in the studio it was like, once again, we don't know if it's going to be big or not. We're just going to get on and do what we were doing in the studio.
We really enjoyed making that album, and when it went back to London Records, I think one of the people there just went, oh, this sounds very unprofessional. Oh, no, it doesn't sound better.
This is not what we were expecting.
We did a remix of One Dove, and we called it Meet the Professionals. And it was like,
that was us.
And then they gave it to some pop producer.
Stephen Hague, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he was ringing Jagz up and going, how did you get that sound on the dead? It's like, if you don't know, oh, you're the top producer. Well, yeah, and they made it sound rubbish. And then they were running on between, that's good, oh, which versions do we use now, the poppy versions or the really good versions, and they ruined it, and then Doc went, I'm out of here, and the whole band fell apart.
Such a shame.
It was a shame, they were One Dove was awesome.
But it's an album which has had a long life, and which still does, and I think also, all those different remixes, the Squire Dove Rides Out version of Breakdown.
That's what ruined it, because they would have been, they were on the way to being like a Portishead kind of level of wickedness, and it just got ruined by people who don't know anything about, who's not professional. Would you know? You work in an office, you do.
So then somebody decides that Sabres of Paradise should become a touring live band. Whose idea was that, and how did that come together?
He's not here.
It's just good fun getting on the bus with your mates.
Yeah, okay.
Around the country, isn't it?
So we, the whole getting the live band together was really just, I suppose in a way it's just a natural progression. It's we've signed to Walk, we've put a record out, we better go and promote it in some way. And it's like, you can't really go promote it by just sending Andrew Weatherall out to go and DJ everywhere. As
Andrew
Weatherall,
go to an HMV and go, hello, buy our record. You've got to kind of do some gigs, haven't you?
Yeah, so we we started to then call in our mates to just get together and start putting songs together that we've done in the studio, and it was really just a case of like, you know, I mean, we had Phil Mossman, who was a friend of mine who I'd worked with in the studio. So as a matter of fact, he played guitar on one of the One Dog songs, didn't he, Phil? So we had Phil, who was a brilliant guitar player. We had Rich, you know, and Phil, weirdly enough, after Sabres of Paradise, moved to New York and joined LCD Sound System. We had Rich Flair, who was our drummer, who is actually here tomorrow night with his other band, Red Snapper, playing here tomorrow. And we had Nick Abney as well, and then we had us, and it was just literally just a bunch of mates. It's like, okay, well, I don't really know what we're going to do, so let's just get in a rehearsal room and just see if we can turn any of these songs into, because you know, the thing is, it's like, it's not a classical band setup. There was not a drums, bass, a guitar, and a keyboard player and a lead singer, and there's you know, it's like a whole load of random noises going on. It's like, well, how do you quantify that into a band setup? So we had to kind of integrate electronics with the live band and make it work in a way that, well, I think it worked out quite well.
Well, yeah, you just don't want to be like two blokes, head down with
staring at laptops,
doing that.
to reading you could be reading your emails, you know.
People going, come on, let's have a bit of bass and a drummer.
And while you're all doing that on stage, what's Andrew doing?
Nothing. No. See, this is the thing. Is
he didn't play live.
Yeah, Andrew didn't play live. Andrew didn't really want to play live, you know. But he understood the importance of people hearing those songs. You know, this is what I was saying. You know, okay, so we could have just done a Sabres of Paradise tour where it's just Andrew Weatherall going to DJ, but that isn't really the Sabres of Paradise. But then at the same time, it was like, right, okay, we better start doing something to kind of make the band work in its own right. So the Sabres of Paradise band really, you know, it stems from that whole thing of the way that we used to put stuff together. We would put stuff together in the studio with Andrew. Andrew would go off and do the artwork, get everything else done. We'd carry on working with other people. So the natural progression from that really was with the Sabres band, is we built this band, but Andrew could go off and DJ, Andrew could go on and do other things that needed to be done, but the band would hold its own as the entity that it became.
You supported Primal Scream on tour?
Yeah. that was the two.
I've never lost so much weight in such a short space of time.
That was two of the most. That was two of the most rock and roll weeks of my life. That was insanity.
It was 3. Felt like 6.
No, it was. It was. That was an amazing tour. So the Primal Scream tour, weirdly enough, Primal Scream asked us to go on tour, and we agreed to go on tour. And then that tour was Primal Scream, Sabres of Paradise, the Dust Brothers, who later came on to become Chemical Brothers, Chris Needs, DJ, Andrew Weatherall, DJ, and it was a pretty incredible lineup. And weirdly, before we went on tour, before we even started, I got a call from Noel Gallagher going, Jagz, what are you not doing? I was like, well, what's up? He said, I really want you to come on tour with Oasis. We want Sabres of Paradise to support Oasis on our first proper tour. And I was like, mate, I'd love to do it, but unfortunately...
We're busy, love, sorry.
Yeah, we are busy. We're on tour. We're on tour with the other band on Creation.
We're busy, love.
Yeah. So you know, it's really weird. I'm a studio boy. I'm happy and absorbed in my electronics and with sitting in the studio.
I think we both were, and I think the touring thing, it became difficult for us, because we're both sort of studio types.
It was just kids let out to play that refused to then go home. You know what I mean? You'd be out in the darkness. But it was a brilliant couple of weeks.
Pints of Jack Daniels and Coke with Frob.
Yeah.
Half a gram of Coke in them. You know.
But it was
6 times a day. You're not going to feel well after a few weeks, are you?
Yeah.
I went from 6 stone to 4 stone.
The Primal Scream Crash Diet.
Yeah, it was fun though. I've still got the photos.
It's brilliant. It was the thing.
It's what you think it would be.
It was. I mean, it was a. You know, it was a really good thing because it was actually. We really bonded with Primal Scream, and obviously that held me in good stead for later years anyway. But it was really good for us to do because we saw how professional. Well, we saw how professional bands actually tour. You know, I've never really seen how bands actually go on tour and what happens, you know. And so for us to go on tour with Primal Scream and see all their roadies setting everything up, all their crew, all the hard work that goes into it, how much thought process goes into making the live sound work the way it does, and the arrangements and the way everything's. So it was a real eye-opener to me, and it kind of made me realise that, you know, we were living quite, you know, sort of like, you know, isolated lives, being in the studio just doing that and not seeing the other side of it. And so it was pretty amazing.
If we go back to the sort of the remixes thing for a while, the remixes you did of James, which became Jam J, I can't think of many remixes which are further from the source material than that one. And Andrew played some early version, didn't he, on Kiss, on Kiss FM. There's a version, and then what becomes Jam J seems to be either 2 or 4 different pieces of music, sort of, which becomes, I mean, really it's the same as a Paradise record in everything but name, isn't it? How much James was on that record?
Do you know what? How much of any of the original artists is left on any other thing than the Sabres of Paradise did?
The bit with the words.
By that point,
when I listen to the Buick remixes, Buick's still in there. When I listen to Jam J, I don't hear a lot of Tim and
okay, so you know
quite often we
have to be quite diplomatic here as well, because it's like, you know, the problem is it's no disrespect to vocalists,
but we just always used to.
We don't like vocalists.
Andrew used to say, "Well, yeah, we'll remix it for 10 grand, 15 if we keep the vocal."
Do you know what? The problem is this is, you know, it's. I don't mean this from a, you know, trance music, but any music that puts you in a trance, anything that makes you listen to anything in a repetitive way where you can get absorbed in what's going on, you can't have one thing leading the focus. You can't have a vocal there, because instantly, if the vocal's saying something, your ears are drawn to that, you're no longer kind of listening to the whole monotony, repetitive, hypnotic effect of it. And so, yeah, we hate vocals.
Get rid of the singer.
Get rid of the singer.
Did you ever get any feedback that anyone was really unhappy with any of the remixes?
Yeah, all the time.
All the time. So these.
I don't remember.
The Stereo MCs remixes, a lot of those never came out. Was that their record?
Well, so yeah, well, the Sabres on Main Street, I think, is one of them. Yeah, that came out with Rob's vocals on. We love Rob's vocals because that is actually like a.
We always kept the stereos.
Yeah. No, we kept a few vocals. We kept yours. Yeah, rather. So we kept hers, and then, you know, because they are dreamy, they are hypnotic. They got a kind of presence about them that works really well. But you know, indie vocals.
I think it's just Andrew going, nah.
We seem to have uncovered tonight that there may well be some Gary Clayle Sabres remixes, which have never been released anywhere.
I didn't until you told me. I remember doing them. I didn't realise.
Can you hum them? Can you hum them for us?
Can I hum them?
No. Can you hum?
You hum it, I'll play it.
Yeah.
But no, I've got about 250 records since that. No, I can't.
Were there any other remixes that along those lines that we don't know about? Can you think of anything that never came out?
We don't know, because we were so busy. That's what I said to you.
So
we'd do a remix and that was it. We're on to the next one and then the next week. And
yeah.
We were doing 2 or 3 records a week.
I mean, even
a decade.
Even if you think about what we're doing here tonight, which was basically we're looking at Sabresonic, the album, which we made 30 years ago. So when I spoke to you before about this album, I actually, one of the things I said was, I suppose I better start by actually going to listen to the album, because I haven't ever listened to it.
Jagz made like 500 records.
But the thing is, you work on a song, or you work on an album, or well, actually no, you work on a song, and you spend all that time arranging it, playing everything, doing the production, doing the mix. Then you get it mastered. By that time, you've heard it so many times, you're just like, I don't really want to hear this for a while, and then you move on to the next song, and then the next song. So I haven't actually listened to anything that I've actually ever done in the past, because I'm working on something else.
Too busy working on the next thing, isn't it?
So and when we were doing the Sabres, we were doing loads of songs a week, and loads of mixes a week. So it wasn't really a case of going, oh, can we just sit here and listen to this for a few days? Because it's like, is that finished? Yeah, right, okay. Oh, we're on to the next one.
We were doing 80, 90 hours a week.
Yeah, and you that's it. You don't sit there and...
We'd get in the studio at like 11 o'clock in the morning and leave at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5-6 days a week. And then you do the next thing and the next thing, and then you haven't got time to listen to what you've just done.
So there's probably
doing a new record.
So there's probably loads of stuff out there that maybe Pete Lawton might be able to sort of guide you on, that may be out there or not out there, but I don't know.
Jagz had to tell me in clubs before. I'm like, what, and he goes, like, this is the thing we did last week. I'm like, oh really?
Oh, I've had that many times.
Oh, is it? Oh, I thought I recognised the bass line. It's like, yeah, you played it. I'm like, oh, I thought so.
No, I've done it many times. Gone to a club and gone, oh, that sounds right. What is that? And it's like, oh, it's you idiot. It's one of your tunes. Oh, shit, sorry. Okay.
Sorry, I think we've got a question from we've got two questions from the floor.
Yeah, we've got one here. Wait,
hello.
mine's got a question.
Mine's got...
On behalf of Dan. Can't be here.
Andrew always mentioned about wanting to remix Iced Tea. Did that ever happen?
Sorry?
Iced Tea.
There was an interview.
Iced motherfucking tea.
There was an interview in the NME where apparently Andrew was asked who are you working with next, and Andrew said Iced Tea.
Our next album was meant to be with Iced Tea.
So that was a reality. Not
No,
just
it was a
wishful
reality.
thinking.
It was going to be Iced Tea. What's his face? Al Green. I'm not even kidding you.
Al Green.
Tom Waits, Bobby Gillespie, and someone else. And Andrew went, I've worked with them people, they're my heroes. That was what the record company had said. We've set you up with these people to make another Sabres album. And he was like...
You heard it here first.
Really? And that was going to be...
somewhere, Madonna, was that?
Okay, so
we got asked to remix a Madonna album and we turned it all down.
Yeah. Okay.
Every track was like, no.
But hold on, but the other thing was, we got asked to remix Sign of the Times. Prince.
What? Prince?
Yeah, Andrew was like, fuck,
and he ran Cowboy Records.
That tune's perfect, you can't touch that, So in actual fact, when it comes to the Sabres of Paradise, it's the who's who we turned down is far bigger than the people we actually work with.
There was always Andrew always liked to suggest that you turned down U2. Was that a real turn down?
Yeah, that's true. That's what I'm saying. The bands that we did work with were far bigger than the ones that we did work with.
I think that's the lot of deep-seated prejudices about U2 is something that we can all get on board.
Do you know what it was? I think Andrew's thing was a lot of remixes he did, like for Holy Ghost and people like that he really liked, who didn't have any money. We went to their studio, we did remix for nothing. Because we liked the tune, we'd go there and we'd do a remix for nothing. Then all of a sudden you got like Madonna going, hey, can you remix my album? No. You said, oh, can you remix our tunes? No. Andrew was like, I don't like you lot, so why would we remix them?
There was another question here.
I just wanted to say that I think we found what we get from Andrew Weatherall, that he wanted to always remain an accessible artist. He wanted to be somebody that we could all relate to. He didn't want to be Fatboy Slim.
No, absolutely.
He wanted to be an ordinary person. And that's what we get with the Weather Drive, where we get everything that we know and we can contribute. And that's kind of why we're here tonight, with the Flightpath Estate, with this kind of thing. I think if there is a lasting legacy of, as I know him, Andy Weatherall, Andrews, is that we all feel that we are part of what Andrew Weatherall left behind. If he created anything, he's created what we've got here tonight.
Absolutely,
yeah, no, absolutely.
You know, and you could go down to like Shoreditch on a Thursday night and walk into a pub like the Griffin, and you'd be like, "Is that Weatherall DJing?"
Yeah.
He'd just go there and DJ on a Thursday night for nothing, just for a few beers, just because he liked it, you know, playing music for people, and that's what Andrew was. You know,
I saw Andrew Weatherall on New Year's Eve for £10 in Liverpool with Sean Johnson. And it wasn't a sellout because it wasn't hyped up as something that it wasn't. And when we got there, all these like-minded people are probably here tonight. Probably people that were there on that night are here tonight as well.
Exactly, because he didn't care about that. That's exactly, he didn't care about that. That's why, like I say, you could go to a pub in somewhere in like East London and he'd be DJing for nothing. He'd walk in and go, "What? That's not Weatherall DJing, is it?" Yeah, it is. He's doing it for 2 pints because he likes the landlord.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Someone's coming. He likes the people who come here and who work.
But you know what you said there as well. After Andrew passed, there was a big, you know, on BBC Six Music, and you know, obviously it was all that time was quite memorable for everybody who knew him or you know, whose lives he touched. But there was one person that came on the radio and said, "I met my wife at a club. We were dancing together, and he was DJing, and my front inside the hallway is the ticket for that gig that we went to, and we met and we were dancing, and Andrew was DJing, and we fell in love," kind of thing, you know. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Really.
Are we alright for time? Are we keeping going? Are we okay? Yeah. I've got a little bit more. So if people are happy to keep going, keep going.
Let's go a little bit more.
I've got a little bit more. I need to divert too much into haunted dancehall, but you know, how was making that different from Sabresonic?
Well, so like I said,
we were kind of asked to make it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
That's a very big difference.
Yeah.
Making tunes that you're just having a laugh with and making because you're having fun is very different to like, oh,
we've got to do an album.
You've got a deal.
So Warp said,
can you
need
make an
another
album?
You need another album.
But
the first album was...
changes things slightly. You're like, right, we've got to make a record now.
Yeah, whereas before it was a collection of songs that we pulled off a shelf and gave to Warp to put together as an album. Once we had signed and we'd given them all that collection of songs to release as the first album, it was like, right, okay, we better actually do an album for Warp Records now. So with that in mind, that's how Haunted Dancehall came about. And for me, Haunted Dancehall really is the proper album for Warp Records, because everything else was a collection of songs that we put together in previous years, even before we signed to Warp.
And then, so why does Sabres come to an end? What?
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Okay. So
you can give us whatever level of detail on this that you like. You know, we don't want to go breaking over all wounds. But Sabres does come to an end.
Okay. So
I think we both have different ideas of why.
Do you know what? You go first with your idea, guys. Go on.
Go on, Jagz.
That's a tough one. It's a really tough one.
Okay.
We were kind of, you know, I think we'd worked really, really hard to get where we were, and then we got offered all these amazing gigs, like headlining the big day out in Australia, doing all this, like headlining a festival in Japan, and then go to Canada and all these places. And Andrew was like, kind of like my own comfort, so I don't really want a gig. And I was a little bit like, really?
By that point,
we've worked so hard to
Underworld and Left Field and the Chemical Brothers are making stadium-sized dance music.
Before for me, I was just a bit like, oh, come on, Andrew, this is what we've worked for, man, you know. But we were also doing The Aloof and Dave Loans and lots of other things, and I don't know, it's a multitude of reasons. It just got complicated, and we were working with lots of different people, and then Andrew started working with Keith, who we took on as like our kind of studio lad, you know, like apprentice, yes, thank you. God bless you. You know, and so I don't know, it all sort of got a bit, I don't know, plus we were working so many hours, we were getting all of it freaked out, and life got difficult all of a sudden, you know.
I think
hard fucking question.
I think that it was it's, you know, the bit in Doctor Who where it gets to the point where like David Tennant's no longer going to be Doctor Who, and then he morphs into something else, kind of another person. From the point of view of like, I've done everything I was going to do as the Sabres of Paradise, I'm now moving on to something else. Because it's that whole thing of like, you can't quantify or pigeonhole him because he wanted to carry on moving on to other things. And that's what I mean about the fact that it was like, okay, is he going to carry on doing a Sabres of Paradise remix for the rest of his life where you knew what you were going to get, or is he going to be Andrew Weatherall where he's going to move and change on, you know, morph into something else? And yeah, there's regrets about it. I mean, me and Andrew even had a chat about it. You know, it's like after. I mean, I remember being at Orinoco Studios, and I was on the roof of Orinoco Studios. I don't know what I was doing on the roof, but anyway, I was on the roof of probably smoking. But anyway, I was on the roof of Orinoco Studios, and Andrew called and went.
What are you doing on the roof?
Get off the roof, stop giving. So you know, he was like. Have we made the right decision? And I'm like, I don't know. But the thing is, it's like, you know, you're kind of like, you know, you're those men don't talk about their emotions kind of thing. It's like, we made the right decision. Absolutely, of course I respect your decision. You know, and I respect your decision, and you both go, shit, should we really have done that?
No.
You know, do you carry, you know, would you have carried on Sabres of Paradise as a side thing where he comes in and does the production with us, and then we go off as the Sabres of Paradise doing gigs and everything else? Did he want to do that, or did he want to just go, you know what, I've done that chapter in my life, I'm moving on to something else? The answer is I don't think we'll ever really know. I think it's one of those ones where...
So we've all got different opinions about it. It just got difficult.
Let's move on from that. What's your favourite memory of Sabres of Paradise?
All of it.
Do you know what? Yeah, you know what? We used to every day. The reason that we'd go in the studio at 12 o'clock and then not finish till 2 in the morning is because every day was a really brilliant laugh.
We laughed.
It was amazing.
That's why I got these fucking crows. We laughed all the time. Sometimes to the point where, you know, when you wet yourself a little bit.
I would fall off my chair laughing sometimes and be holding my stomach on the floor because it was just too much. You know?
We were earning really, for that time, 30 years ago, to be earning that kind of money, doing something you like and fucking wetting yourself laughing all day long. I was just like, oh, thank you. Somebody loves me. That's all it was. It was just like joyful. It became, you know, obviously it's quite stressful, but we laughed all the time. We just laughed non-stop.
What's your favourite Sabres record or track?
Wow, that's a tough one.
Do you know the name?
if you know the name of it.
I don't know what they call.
Put it in mind.
Right,
the one that goes through the one with the bass line.
it's my friend here, he's going to write down the names for me, and I go, oh yeah, that one, thanks.
Do you know what? Do you know what? It's really weird. It's like when we were going to do the Sabres Q&A, and then I was like, right, I'm going to do a little post about it, and I actually posted the. Did I post the Smoke Frog Beatless mix? I think I posted, and it was like, I was like, shit, that's really emotive, isn't it? That's a really beautiful piece of music. But then, I don't know, for me personally, I really love the energy of Theme.
I just, you know what, I was going to...
Are you going with Theme?
I was going to say Theme and Toe Track.
Okay.
Because they're kind of musical and...
But ask me tomorrow, it might be something different.
Tomorrow it's Smoke Belch and Another Electronic.
Well, one of the great things about Theme was turning it over, and the two dubbed B-sides, Return of Carter and Edge 6, both of which I think were big Sabres records, tunes for them.
Yeah.
I bought Theme and thought for ages it was ace, but it needed to be a bit faster, and then I realised it was 45.
You can speak
yeah,
up.
Now listen, I've had that with quite a few remixes that Andrew's done, not just that we did, other ones afterwards. I'm like, because I've just been doing a bit of transference and songs for the DJ set later on, and I was like, is it supposed to be 33 or 45? I can't quite work out. It's like, maybe it's 33 and I'll speed it right the way up, or maybe it's 45 and I'll slow it down.
There was loads of them records in the 90s,
because there's no vocals in there. Because there's no vocals in there, you don't know what's it's supposed to be if it's not got it written on there.
And some sound better on 33.
Yeah, totally.
In honour of Jockey Slot, which was one of the best chronicles at the time, and that's not just because it was Mancunian. Whenever they interview people, their last question was this question: have you ever ridden a horse?
Yeah. I rode a horse on lots of really chronicles.
Sorry, Jagz.
No. So I've ridden a horse on a loch in Ireland, so the sea, kind of on a beach, which is quite dramatic and picturesque and amazing. So yeah. Yes from me.
Gary, have you ever ridden a horse?
No.
No, never ridden a horse.
Been kicked by a horse.
I've had police horses coming towards me. I used to go to Chelsea every Saturday. They used to storm at you with batons.
Do you know if Andrew ever rode a horse?
He didn't.
I like to think that someone called Lord Sabre would know his way around a horse.
Did you? I don't know. Did he ever go on a horse?
Anybody know? Did Andrew ever ride a horse?
No.
No. We'll go with no on that one. I'm happy to open it up to the audience now. I'm conscious that Jagz is going to be DJing in about half an hour. Music. There's an arm in the air over here, Baz. The gentleman in the baseball cap.
Why did Sabresonic get reissued? And was it to do with copyright or samples, or was it to make more money out of it second time around?
What, Sabresonic 2?
Yeah, because it's sort of the same tracks and sort of not. So
basically, so Sabresonic 2 was after we signed to Raw Records and we did Sabresonic and then we did Haunted Dancehall. We imploded and we went, fuck it, game over. And the problem was, contractually we hadn't really fulfilled our obligation to Warp, and so what Warp did was basically just got together all the songs, I think, and then just put them together as a farewell, rather than it being a case of like, okay, let's just try and cash in on this, rather than it, it was more like, I suppose it's kind of like the best of,
Any more from the floor? No? Gary's just gone blue, but so it seems a bit of a shame to miss him giving him a round of applause. If somebody can quickly think of a question to ask Jagz. Jagz!
Sorry, on that, with Interlurgan Techno, the one on the first album, did it subtly nick the Francis K remix of Kraftwerk? With all the kind of sounds like that, and it's not on the second version. And I always thought that maybe it was like somebody went, you got a letter.
I don't know. Do you know what? In all honesty, we did used to sample records. We used to put stuff from all over the place. But I don't ever recall a Kraftwerk sample being put on anything that we did. Could have done, but I'm sorry, I can't help you on that one.
Front back. Hang on.
Where's there going to be an aloof reunion then?
An aloof reunion? First of all, I think we're all still alive, so that could be possible. You know what? Yeah, interesting question. I'm going to say no comment, but that's not a very good answer, is it? If there's a demand and there's one of these Q&As for the aloof and everyone turns up, I might consider it. But it's I think trying to get everybody together is not easily done nowadays, you know. But yeah, but if it happens, I'll let you know.
Everyone sing Gary.
Cheese and onion or corned beef pie?
Say that again.
Cheese and onion or corned beef?
Cheese and onion.
Anyone for corned beef? Corned beef pie?
Cheese and onion. I'm pretty much a veggie nowadays.
Hi Jagz, thanks for coming on. Are the Sabres going to play live again?
Are the Sabres going to play live again?
Yeah.
No, take the Beatles! Not without.
Well, right this minute, no. Are the Sabres going to play live again?
In 6 months.
Do you know what? I'd say probably. Well, all I'm going to say is, you know, you never say never.
Bear me in mind.
You never say never. You know what? Maybe the better reply I can give to that is watch this space.
And that seems like an excellent place to stop. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jazz, Kooner, Gary Burns, the Sabres of Paradise.